What's up, family? This is the Locker Room Views podcast. I'm joined by my wonderful guest today, and I will address him in a second. I'm going to do some shameless plugging here for a second. If you have not done so already, please go follow us on Instagram and Twitter and check out our new YouTube content that we've been putting out. Anything that happens in the sports world that you need knowledge of, just a quick 2 to 5 to 8 minute clip of, we'll go ahead and provide for you, as well as we always have these deep dives in the podcast. I know you guys enjoy. Again, if you guys haven't done so already and could, please go give us a 5-star rating. 5-star. But that's all the plugging for today. Anyways, my guest today is one of the favorites here in the LRB family, Matt Trapp. What's up, my dude?
Hey, how do you know I'm a favorite?
Well, I just call you that. So if you would like me to take off that label, I'm more than willing.
No, I'm happy to be here right now.
Okay, good. What's going on with you? I know before off wax, you were trying to get me to. You were talking about something LeBron said today. Let's bring it up.
Yeah, Bron, don't mess with playoffs. It's cool to mess around with All-Star Game, but don't get too crazy about playoffs. Every comment he says is directed towards him. Obviously, he doesn't want the playoffs to be changed because he's in the East. He wants to coast through the Torontos, the Bostons of the world.
So basically, he was asked about changing the format for the playoffs, and he was highly against it.
No, I don't really know the context if it was a reporter. It just had a quote of his, so maybe he really wanted to get that off his chest.
Yeah, so maybe he was just like in the middle of a dream next to Savannah and then just started saying that, and then the audio recording just flipped up like Donald Sterling.
Yeah, I mean, with all this like Alexas and HomePods in our house, he was probably rambling in his sleep, and they're like, "Got it, LeBron." It's like, man, I thought we were off wax, man.
Yeah, I totally agree with you in that I could totally see how he feels, and the only reason is because he's in the East. But we all know that eventually, whether it happens next year, in 30 years, or in 100 years, eventually they're gonna go through and do 1 versus 16 seed.
If they did that, would he create his own league?
Oh my gosh, we're getting really into this at this point, if that's the conversation we're having now. But so
no, I just thought of that.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So for people that don't know, it's not really a big deal, but if you don't know who he is, go check out Gary V, Garyvee. He's a pretty big inspiration of mine. Only reason I bring him up is because he has a theory that I agree with. And it is that the NBA players, more than any other league, and their players have the most pull and the most eyeballs and the most power, that if LeBron James, Kyrie, Steph, KD, if all the best players in the world decided, no, I don't want to do the NBA anymore, I'd rather just create my own league, and we're going to do that now. And if they do that for money or for personal reasons or for whatever it may be, but I think that everybody would watch that league and not the NBA, because the NBA would probably be led by Danny Green or some stupid shit like that. So what's your thoughts on that, and do you think that'll ever happen?
That's the second damn time you've thrown Danny Green under the bus like that.
Look,
Do
Danny
you remember
Green,
those finals? He was outplaying Ray Allen, for God's sakes.
he had one really hot game and a couple solid games.
That was a series.
I mean,
he
yeah,
had a hot series.
He did have a hot series. If I'm not mistaken, I think he has the record for the most threes in an NBA series. I could be wrong on that. I probably am.
Probably finals or something like
That's
that.
what I mean, yeah, finals. I think he had like 17 or some shit. That's literally off the top of the dome. It's probably way off. But yeah, I think it's an interesting thought. Like, the NBA players have so much power, they could literally create a league of their own.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think NFL, I don't think baseball, I don't think hockey, I don't think any other league could do that. But just like the amount of followers and the amount of influencers, or the amount of influence that the top NBA players have is second to none versus every other league. So I actually think that they could literally create a league of their own. Anyways, that was a really weird off-topic topic, but
Would they team up with LeVar?
I sure hope so. I still want, and this is a hot take maybe, but I still want this JBA thing to fall through. I want this Junior Basketball Association to fall through because I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think LeVar should do it in Canada. Look, not every kid wants to go through. I'll give you an example. So today I found out that that a kid that I played against in high school, his name's Anthony Simmons. For those of you who don't know, he's a top 10 recruit in this coming up high school class. He's like a 5th year or 6th year senior. I don't know how they finessed that, but they did. He currently goes to IMG Academy. He's a point guard. He kind of plays like Markelle Fultz, to give you an idea of what his play style is like.
I was just about to say that. I saw on YouTube.
Yeah.
Anthony Simmons, the next Markelle Fultz?
Yeah, that's the comparison. Hopefully he actually plays more than Markelle. But anyways, I actually saw a mock draft today that because he has been technically out of the 4-year high school regimen, and he has been a 4-year outside of high school, he is technically eligible for the NBA draft, which could mean that rather than him go to some elite program for college, which technically he has been quoted saying that's what he's thinking and hoping what he's going to do, that's what he's leaning toward, but that he could be drafted to the NBA this season, which he's keeping that option available. And this mock draft had him going, I believe, 24th. Which is very interesting to me because it would be a first-round pick and the first high schooler taken, basically high schooler, in a long time, just because that's a loophole. I didn't know that was possible. I thought you had to go to either to college or overseas or to a different country, but you don't. You just have to be a year removed.
No, there's actually this big man who it just when I was looking at mock drafts, I keep forgetting his name because he doesn't play in college right now. And he's just preparing for the draft. He's like a 6'10" or 7-footer. And well, the last mock draft or a couple mock drafts ago, he was mocked at the Wizards. So I kind of followed the Wizards. So I was like, all right. And it just has him as USA. So he's not playing in a league or anything. He's just, I guess, working out.
He's just destroying the YMCA right now.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a real baller.
Apparently.
Let me ask you this. I know you've watched a little bit of college basketball. I have too.
I'm starting to uptick in that regard, yeah, because the Magic are kind of bad. So I'm like, all right, I have to pay attention to these. I pretty much just look, and if I can't watch it, it's pretty much like tape. I'll just record it. Like I have a few Oklahoma games I have to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about Trae Young. I just want to talk about, just from what you've heard in your analysis, if you are the number 1 pick, what are you leaning towards? What are your thoughts? Because I, from the get, always loved Marvin Bagley. I made that very clear from the beginning of the college basketball season. I think that guy's got offensive potential just out the wazoo. And I still think that. I still think he's probably my favorite college prospect, but there's a couple college prospects that really have been interesting to me. A favorite right now for the number 1 pick is DeAndre Ayton out of Arizona, and I think that that's one of the manliest college players I've ever seen as far as physical specimen. He's got a very Dwight Howard-esque look to him, and he's very athletic. So I think that's a really intriguing guy, and he's got a touch. He can actually shoot a jump shot. I saw him in a highlight shooting a 3 in the last game that he had. So I think that's a really interesting prospect. And then the other guy I wanted to mention, besides Trae Young, which you already said, which my stock for, I've always been a little bit critical about him. I think I've sort of made up my mind that although I think he's got potential to be good in the NBA, I personally don't want him to be on my team. I think it's too much of a gamble, and I prefer taking the route of a Marvin Bagley or a DeAndre Ayton, or another guy that I've started watching some of his tape is Mo Bamba. A lot of people have been talking about him. This is something that I did not realize till today. Dude, so Mo Bamba, I think is like 6'11" or 7 foot. Guess how long his wingspan is?
7'11".
Okay, that's insane, dude. That literally no one has a wingspan of that. He has a 7'9" wingspan, which would be second in the NBA behind.
Oh man, Rudy Gobert.
Dude, good freaking job.
I watched a little bit.
Yeah, so 7 foot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Rudy Gobert's 7'9.25", but that is a redonkulous wingspan.
I was 2 inches off. You're talking about how this is just so ridiculous. That human's gonna exist eventually. 7'11" wingspans.
Oh yeah.
And they're gonna mark it for the gas station.
Yeah, bro. They're gonna become the iconic gas station athlete.
Yeah.
And their whole promo is just gonna be them holding one ball in one end and one ball on the other end. It's just
Or Slurpees.
Oh yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm sure there's some 7-Eleven athlete out there that, not athlete, but just person that wasn't a very good athlete. You need to freaking get on it right now. Contact 7-Eleven and use your wingspan to your advantage, wherever you are. Anyway, so Mo Bamba's been really intriguing me. I think he's a nice prospect, and there's obviously a couple other names. I've watched some tape on Luka Doncic. I think he's a very interesting prospect. In the last mock draft I saw him going to the Magic, which I don't know how I feel about that.
Really?
Yeah. The other thing that I want to talk to you about, if you have any thoughts on these prospects, is where do you think, 'cause there's literally 7 or 8 teams, all with 18, 19, 20 wins. So the bottom of the NBA is so close. It's going to be really interesting to see who actually ends up with the first pick and who ends up with the 7th pick, because the Magic have the chance to be the first pick and the 7th pick, and beyond that, it's the Magic. Let me see if I can name the teams. It's the Magic, the Suns, the Nets, the Grizzlies, the Hawks. I think there's one more that I'm not naming, but there's 5, 6, 7 teams, all with 18, 19, 20 wins. And, now in the last 30 plus game stretch for the NBA, it's going to be really interesting to see who ends up truly taking. Oh, and the Mavericks.
Well, the Nets are they're probably going to rack up more wins than you think there at the tail end, especially against those aforementioned teams, because they don't want to tank. They want to, it's not their pick, so they don't want
I agree.
don't want it to be good.
I agree. The last mock draft I saw too also had Trae Young going to the Cavs, which I thought was really interesting.
Apparently, LeBron is a big Trae Young fan, and it's funny. He's a fan of these young guys, and then he trades Wiggins, and he doesn't want to play with young guys. So
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Do you have any high spirits or high thoughts on any player coming out of college? I know you're a Magic fan, so if we happen to get the number 1 pick, which I'm crossing my fingers, is there somebody you're leaning toward?
I want Bagley, but the reason I keep watching Oklahoma games is I just feel like the Magic are going to take Trae Young for some weird reason.
I do too. And you know what? It's crazy because I don't hate it, because I'm such a desperate Magic fan that all I want is relevance, and I feel like Trae Young, because of the amount of ESPN and sports coverage that he gets, will provide a sense of relevance for the Magic. But man, I just really want us to end up with the 3rd pick, and we're forced to take Bagley, and that's who we take, just because I'm really high on him.
Yeah, I do want relevance, but maybe I don't, because that makes the tickets more expensive, and I want to go to as many games as I want. So. Well,
how about you become more relevant and start making money yourself?
Well, yeah, I guess I could try to do that too.
Touche. So let me ask you this: if you had to guess, I know you said that you think Brooklyn's going to start racking up a couple wins. I could see Memphis honestly doing the same, but it's open to interpretation. Who do you think is going to end up in the bottom 3 and end up having the best odds to get the number 1 pick? If you just
Hawks.
have to go off intuition. Hawks,
Kings, Magic. Or no, Mavericks, because I actually think the Mavericks have a better roster than the Kings, but Cuban is so open about tanking that I feel like they're just gonna start playing like these G League guys and the Maxi Klebers and the Kyle Collinsworths of the world on their roster.
I mean, so you said Hawks, Mavericks, and who?
Magic.
Okay, respect. Who do you think will be the worst? I think it'll probably be the Hawks.
Probably, but they actually, between the Magic and the Hawks, I feel like they have the best player.
Oh, definitely. The Magic. I just think the Magic always disappoint me, and so now that I'm in the gear of I want to be the worst team in the NBA and go on a 38-game losing streak, I think they're going to disappoint me in that end too and start winning a couple more games than they need to.
I think they recently beat the Hawks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. That was a game I was actually really looking at just because it was the battle of the L's. Let me ask you this. So if those are the bottom teams, this is number one pick, okay. Do you have any predictions on how the NBA season will finish out? I mean, now that we're a bit past the halfway mark with this the All-Star break and whatnot, which I want to get into the All-Star game a little bit. But how do you see this season finishing out? Right now, we have Toronto as the number one seed in the East, followed by the Celtics, followed by the Cavs. Do you see some major movement happening there? And then as well as in the West, we have Houston at number one and Golden State at number two. What do you foresee as far as do you see anybody post All-Star break going off in a good way? And do you see anybody trailing down?
Cavs, 1 seed.
Cavs 1 seed?
Yes.
Dude, they're like 7 games back right now. They would have to literally maybe lose four games this entire 30-plus game stretch, and Toronto and Boston would have to be pretty bad for them.
Celtics are on a bit of a skid, but I mean
they are.
That the All-Star break probably helped them a lot.
Definitely.
Toronto just loves the regular season, man. Every time I see them up there 9-1 in their last 10, I just laugh. I'm like, oh, these moral victories. Have fun with them.
I don't know. Last year I was definitely on the train, which I'm happy I didn't have the pod at this point because I would have sounded like an idiot. But I was really on the train that Toronto was going to end up making the finals. I just thought maybe not even the finals, but I thought that they were going to upset the Cavs, and that didn't happen. Even the thing that just shot me in the face was DeRozan just looks at the camera after getting asked about how to stop LeBron, and he's like, I have no idea. If you have any recommendations, let me know.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, God, that guy looks freaking defeated. But yeah, so I'm with you. I'm so skeptical against. It's the same token as to why, always being against the Spurs going far, and then they end up going far, and then we're like, well, I was an idiot for that. It's the same thing. I always feel like Toronto's, and the opposite. I always feel like Toronto's going to go very far, and then they struggle in the first round, and in the second round they're an easy bounce, and it's like, God, what's the difference between regular season and playoffs for this team?
They don't catch teams on coming into Toronto and just 3 games in 4 nights, and so everyone has rest, and you just keep scouting them, and it's just rotations shrink, defense intensifies, and that's that.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the All-Star game? Let's get into it. And just the All-Star weekend, what did you watch? What were you impressed by? There was a lot of mixed reviews as far as the weekend as a whole, probably because the winners of Saturday was sort of shocking for most people, except for Donovan Mitchell. He was definitely the favorite. Just what were your thoughts on the dunk contest, three-point contest, and then the game itself?
I actually didn't see Saturday night, but I think they need to add another contest. They should do horse, or I actually like that little shooting stars thing they used to do.
With the legend, an NBA player, and a WNBA player?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just bringing that up.
I thought it was more than that.
No, so they used to do is 3 people, For anybody that doesn't remember this, so they would take like, for example, they would take like Dominique Wilkins, you know, representing Atlanta. Then they would take somebody on the Atlanta WNBA team, and then they would take. Oh, sorry, I can't name anybody, by the way. And then they would take some Atlanta Hawks player like Dennis Schroeder or Kent Bazemore, aka Chance the Rapper, and they would. It's kind of like they would do like layup, like one person would be doing a layup, another person at the free throw line, another person at the 3-point line, then another person at half court, and they would go through the progression and basically time it against other cities doing the same thing. I found that to be quite entertaining as well because you got to sort of blend all the different basketball junkies. But yeah, they haven't done that in years.
Yeah, it just warmed me up, you know? I liked it. I turned it on. I maybe didn't catch it at the beginning. I was like, and it was a little entertaining with the half-court shot, but no, the All-Star game was cute. It was nothing special. I like how they were all trying to. LeBron did his own. He does what he does best: complain for calls during the game. So that was like second nature. But I can't believe you compared Kent Bazemore to Chance the Rapper. Never heard that one before.
What? You need to, everyone please, in YouTube, go on Google right now and go pull up 2 tabs. Pull up one tab of Kent Bazemore, K-E-N-T, Bazemore I believe is B-A-Z-E-M-O-R-E, and then pull up Chance the Rapper and tell me they're not related. Literally at a glance, I think they're the same person.
Yeah, I see it. It's like Ken Bazemore was the little brother that tagged along.
Yeah. So it's definitely go do that if you haven't done so. But so let me give my All-Star Game reactions. I think this is the best All-Star Game I may have ever seen. It was definitely more competitive, and it wasn't like regular season game competitive. But typically the All-Star Game is played at about 25 to 30% energy level. I definitely think this game was closer to about 75 to 80% energy level. And then the final 5 to 8 minutes was really played at nearly 95 to 100% energy level as far as regular season comparison goes. And I was really entertained by it. I was very with the idea of doing the draft. I definitely think they should, and they will televise it next season because it's going to be a great money-making opportunity for them. More eyeballs equals more money, and all the players are with it. I think Adam Silver is now with it. The television network providers are going to be with it, so it's definitely going to happen. And I think I'm really excited about it because I think it's a great format. The game was super close, which I enjoyed, and I hope it's something that they keep doing and they keep experimenting with. I love Adam Silver. I'd love to talk to you about this. But this to me just is another indicator that I think Adam Silver is the greatest commissioner in sports. And I also think I don't even think that's a major title because, you know, who's he competing with, Roger Goodell? But I think that he's so apt to try new things in a era of just so many things changing technologically that I really appreciate him allowing changes in this, and it makes me very intrigued and that he might be the commissioner that ends up changing the playoff format to the 1 through 16 seeds. What say you?
Yeah, I meant to bring that up earlier with the LeBron thing, saying he doesn't want it to be changed. What does Adam Silver change it, and then LeBron? Then he has to deal with an unhappy LeBron. So I want to see how he deals with that.
Well,
then we'll really see.
I mean, it definitely is not going to happen within the next year or two. Earliest it's going to happen in like 3, 4, 5 years. And if that's the case, LeBron will probably, I know this sounds crazy, but will probably not be the best player in the NBA at that point. So he's not going to have the extreme leverage that he has right now. But yeah, I found the All-Star Game to be very entertaining. I watched it from minute to minute, from jump ball to the finish. It was really cool to see players of that caliber all together and actually sort of playing hard. I think that the way they did it is a step in the right direction, and I found it to be super entertaining. I think the worst thing of All-Star Night was probably Fergie's rendition.
She was still looking good though.
So yeah, those are my thoughts on kind of what's going on in basketball. I'm still looking for what the Magic are able to do as far as losing games. I hope they lose every single one, and I hope we take Marvin Bagley.
Okay, let's hold up here. Why didn't Jimmy Butler at least play a minute?
Let's talk about that.
I know you probably don't feel well. I know you were probably playing dominoes, drinking a little something, or you probably just really weren't feeling well. I don't know. But you got to play you got to get in. Lou Will that's the best season he's going to have. You got to
I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking about what if you're like a Minnesota fan and you happen to be in Los Angeles and you go to see, Jimmy Butler represent your team. I know Kat was there, but I agree with you. He's got to play for at least 30 seconds just to sort of, pay homage and to fill up that roster spot like you were saying. To me, it must mean that the dominoes really ran long that night, and he was probably slurping something good. But I found that to be very funny. By the first half, I was like, wow, Jimmy Butler has not played a lick. And then they talked about how he didn't feel good, and I was like, oh, that's All-Star Weekend, I guess.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of banter about Draymond, of course, being him and Harden pretty much were the candidates for that too, that actually played.
Definitely. Well, appreciate everyone listening. Please go follow us on all of our outlets, as I mentioned in the beginning of this pod, especially lockerroombeef.com, where we have basically the outlet to everything that we offer. Thanks so much for listening, and peace out.
Follow me.